When I met with Dave and Doyle and Justin, and we talked about the possibilities of my taking on the role as an elder, one of the very few reservations I had that I shared with them and talked to them about was the fact that before I have stood before you and preached, I only represented my thoughts and my beliefs. And I was concerned that going on from there, that the things that I felt the Spirit was leading me to say might be considered to be their thoughts because I was an elder presenting and preached. And I didn't know that that was going to be fair. So we talked about it and decided that it wasn't really going to be an issue, and so we put it aside. But I wanted to begin with this anyway. The following comments express the views of the speaker only and do not necessarily represent the views of the management or their employees. Okay? So we got that out of the way. I won't do that every lesson. A few months ago, Justin did a lesson which he talked a lot about the Gallup poll company. And a specific poll that Gallup does every year and have done since the late 1940s, in which they ask people for their religious identity, how they identify. And obviously they started with the big ones, and at the beginning it was just Protestant, Roman Catholic, Jewish. That was it. In time they added Muslim, and they added Mormon, they added other, and then in 2005 they added no religion. And so from 2005 onward, people had the opportunity to say, none. I don't identify in any fashion or religious identity. And part of what Justin was talking about that day was how many people are now nones. Estimated somewhere between a quarter to a fifth of Americans now say they don't identify as any kind of religion. And as I was sitting there listening to Justin talk and trying to stay awake, I was wondering, how was that being received? Did you find that discouraging? It's pretty obvious if we go back to the 1950s and move forward that we have transitioned as a country from going from a position where most Americans viewed Christianity in a positive light. Most Americans respected Christians and respected churches. They knew the need for churches in their communities. They recognized that churches had a positive influence on people. They enforced work ethics, morality. They had a modifying influence on men, especially in some of our more aggressive and sexual traits that help bring us more in line with civilized society. So they liked Christianity, Christians, churches. We've moved from there to a more neutral stance where take it or leave it. Yeah, if you want to be a Christian, want to go to church, if that works for you, fine. If not, fine. Whatever. To each his own. And where we find ourselves today is a much more negative view of Christianity, to where there is no reservation whatsoever to express an opinion that denigrates Christians or denigrates churches or denigrates religion. I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl ads that have been called He Gets Us. A couple ads put out by this religious group that were designed to communicate that Jesus was a loving person, accepting, and that we could do well to emulate that love. It would help undo some of the divisiveness that we're going through in our country. No judgment, just Jesus, lover of people, and we should be lovers too. The U.S. representative tweeted, I doubt Jesus would have spent millions of dollars on a Super Bowl ad that makes fascism benign. Negative. So, how does that make you perceive what we have? Do you believe in what we have to offer as Christians? Do you believe in what we have to offer as the Holland Church of Christ? It's easy when we see what goes on in our culture and the viewpoints that are expressed about church life and Christianity not to feel alienated. You're feeling as if you are a minority, and that minority is growing and growing. You look around and you wonder, no one thinks like I think. We end up sliding into pessimism about our future, and even can start acting as if we're survivalists. We look at our numbers and we think, man, if we can just keep a few of our kids, hopefully there'll be someone here to keep the doors open. Is that what we believe? My focus this morning is to ask us to consider how powerless or powerful we see ourselves. Because it doesn't matter how powerful God is, how powerful the Spirit is, if His people don't believe it. It doesn't matter how much we like each other if we don't think they'll like us. And there's no sense even asking them. I believe that we are powerful. I believe in the power of truth. Every day we wake up to lies. And it seems like everyone believes these lies, and they just keep getting worse and worse. And I know a lot of that is because the people who control the media and what we see can be deemed to represent everyone, and that's not true. But it just appears as if more and more people are believing these things. Men can be women. Men can get pregnant. Children need to be exposed to sexuality at a very young age. Any kind of relationship is fine. Marriage is totally unnecessary. In fact, another example, this last week, an article was written by a major religious organization talking about the ideal nuclear family and how much it offers in terms of stability to our society, in terms of children who grow up with moms and dads are much more likely to stay out of jail, to prosper themselves, to have healthy relationships, to themselves be happy and content. Something that has been proven ever since studies about the family have been taken. Every single one shows this. It's not to say that the nuclear family is the only family and everyone else needs to be shamed about it. No, it's just saying this is the ideal. U.S. representative tweeted, not only is that dangerous, that mindset, but it's un-American. Lies. Paul said in 2 Corinthians 13:8, "For we cannot do anything against the truth, but only for the truth." Do we believe that truth is stronger than lies? Or are we embarrassed by our truth? These lies are causing confusion in our culture. There are a lot of people uncertain about what they're hearing. Everything's been cast into doubt. We've seen people who we once respected, medicine, science, getting caught saying things, promoting things that just, it has shaken our faith in institutions. And we as a church are part of that. So we've kind of, again, cowered in that and have kept back from our belief in the power of truth, that we hold the truth, and that there will be anyone interested in that truth. But all these lies have done is just caused instability and confusion and caused people to question. And where they're questioning, they're seeking. They're seeking someone who can say, no, this is what's true, and can argue that viewpoint. Not only do we have the power of truth, we have the power of example. Truth is powerful when it's argued, but it's irrefutable when it's lived. You can't argue with an example. You can see the argument, you see the benefits of the argument when it's lived before your eyes. Justin referenced this verse last week. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. 63 years of marriage, Don and Ginger. 20 of it happy, but 63 years of marriage. That was Ginger's perspective. That's an example. That's power. That's what we have. We have the power of raising kids who are healthy, respectful, happy, productive. We have the power of going to work and working with contentment and a servant's heart, and demonstrating kindness and acceptance. Even if we're the only Christian nurse or the only Christian teacher or the only Christian sorter or manufacturer, we have the power of example. We have the power of community. That's a word we use a lot, and because of that, sometimes it loses its significance. But this world does not understand community. They do not know what it is to have friendships, real friendships. To have people who love them and accept them for who they are. Not necessarily affirm them. There's a big difference between accepting someone and affirming what they believe. Whole another lesson. But they can't find people who even accept them, much less affirm them. Not in a natural, genuine way. How big a community did it take for Jesus to turn the world upside down? 12? 100? 400? It doesn't take thousands. It doesn't take a mega church. It doesn't take a Christian nation. It just takes a committed community. We have that. We have that power. We have what people are searching for. Do we believe that? Lastly, and don't take this as a pious platitude, please, we have the power of prayer. One of the things that most impressed me when I first visited this church was how much you spend time in prayer in your assembly compared to a lot of other churches. We pray more per inch than any other church I know. And that was before we added the prayer group on Sunday morning. Who are you praying for that's a non-Christian? Not a family member, not a church member, not a leader, not a government, but who you know that's a non-Christian. Who are you praying for? You know that internet thing where someone posts a meme, tell me what you believe without telling me what you believe? I don't know if you've ever seen that, and then there's a picture that shows what they believe that kind of contradicts what. So when a Christian says, I believe in the power of prayer, and you look at their prayer list, and there's not a single non-Christian on it, tell me what you believe about the power of prayer. Every Sunday morning, Robin and I take our breakfast to the lake and spend some time there before we come here. And we stop it and get coffee on the way. Robin stops at Panera, and I stop at Wesco because I'm not a coffee snob. And there's a woman who works at Wesco that I see every Sunday that I'm praying for. Her name is Rachel. I got to be careful with Rachel because Rachel's young, and I'm not that. I'm not young. But what I've learned about Rachel is that she used to live in Muskegon. She worked at Wesco there. She transferred to the Wesco down here so that her boyfriend, who she lives with here in Holland, could be close to his work at Magnum. That's all I know about her. Other than the fact she's got a great smile, she always is pleasant in the morning on Sunday. So I'm praying for Rachel. I'm praying that, this is my prayer for her right now, I'm praying that she sees that I'm there only on Sundays, and like everyone else who comes through the door to grab their coffee and donuts, I'm the only one dressed up. And I'm hoping she asks, this is my prayer, I'm praying that she asks me, why are you always dressed up? Or, why do you only come on Sunday? Or, maybe she's intuitive enough to say, you're obviously going to church. Where did you go to church? That's my prayer for Rachel. If she asks me that, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, I go to the Holland Church of Christ. They're a little old school, but you won't find a more loving group of people. I'll tell her I've not been going there very many years, but these people have accepted me as if I grew up there. And that's it. That's my prayer. Once I say that, if I get an opportunity to say that, I'll be praying about the next thing she asks me, the next thing that I could say to her. Who is on your prayer list like that? Do you believe in the power of prayer then? I understand the pessimism and I understand the alienation, but I also know we can't give in to that. We cannot look at ourselves and say we have nothing to offer. No one is interested in what it is. Let's just hold on tight. I don't want to be part of an eldership that has to decide about selling the assets and how we get rid of the money, because there's not enough people to keep it going. I don't want that. I don't believe you want that either. I don't see that happening tomorrow. I don't see it happening next year. But if we don't believe in the power that God has given us, it's going to happen. Why wouldn't it? Where's the growth going to come from? Where's our influence going to be if we don't believe that God can grow us and that we have something to offer this crazy society we live in? We've got to first believe it before God can do it. I believe in God. I believe in God's prayer, God's power, God's community, God's truth. I believe in you and God working through you. My prayer is that you believe that too. Let's stand and sing.